My name is Rajan. I just graduated from the University of Virginia in 2025, and I want to start this conversation off with a couple questions. So first, think about the most impressive person you follow online. Who are they? What do they do every day? Why do you even follow them? Now think about the first video they ever posted. You probably never even watched it. And if you did watch it, I guarantee it would be painful to watch. Maybe even borderline embarrassing. But I guarantee one thing. Where someone is now and where they were when they first started, there's a gap here. We can call it this red carpet right here. And I don't think the name for that gap is failure. I don't think it's inexperience. I actually think it's something called cringe. And I think it's the most misunderstood ingredient in building something real. That's what I want to talk about today. I went to the University of Virginia, obviously, as did everyone in this room. And I loved it. I loved the ambition of all the students. I went to class. Everyone felt like they knew what they were doing. Honestly, sometimes I felt dumb in some of these classrooms. You guys are too smart. I didn't really like it. But if you've been here long enough, you know it's a very clear culture. It's very polished. It's very corporate. And when I was in the comm school, I felt like I had three options: big tech, consulting, or banking. And I worked really hard to get into one of these things. I went through finance recruiting, I went through the comm school, I applied to comm school, and I got in. And then I started doing all my banking interviews, and eventually I landed an interview at JP Morgan. And I was so excited. I prepped for it for 5-6 days before, pulled all-nighters, drank a bunch of caffeine, and I landed the internship at JP Morgan. I went to my internship in Dallas, Texas, and I crushed it. I had a great time, great work-life balance, great friends, and honestly, I thought I loved finance. I came back my senior year, and everyone around me had the internships lined up as well. I thought I was doing it right, but I had one dirty little secret through all of it, because this is what I did every day, and no one knew about it. And you might be wondering, Rajan, why are you surrounded by 1,000 pairs of shoes? What are you doing here? What is this guy doing? What am I pointing at in the camera? I don't know what I'm doing here. It doesn't matter. But this is what I did every day. This is what made me truly feel alive. I used to go to thrift stores, flea markets, and garage sales, and I'd buy dirty shoes, and I'd bring them back in carloads. And I'd bring them back to this 10x17 office, 5 minutes away from UVA in McIntyre Plaza, alone, and I'd clean them with Lysol wipes with my hands. I'd photograph them in a little 4x4 light box. I'd list them on eBay, and I'd sell them. And that's what I did every single hour outside of class. And that's what I love to do. I did this for 3 years in silence, and one day I went up to one of my mentors in McIntyre Plaza. He owns a little coffee shop called Charlottesville Coffee, if you guys have been. 60-year-old Vietnamese man. He's not 60. He's got more energy than me. I don't know what's wrong with this guy. But I went up to him one day, and I asked him, hey, I think what I'm doing is really interesting. I kind of want to post about it on social media, but I kind of think everyone's going to make fun of me. I don't know. I think I'm going to get made fun of. And he told me something that truly changed my life. His name is Tawan, and he looked me straight in the eye, and he said, Rajan, they're going to laugh at you. They are. Look at you. Look at what you're doing. You're going to suck in the beginning. I guarantee that. But then he said, think about riding a bike. And I was like, where's this guy? What is this guy doing? This is like 60-year-old, old head knowledge. I don't know where he's going with this. And he's like, when you get on a bike, right now you have your training wheels on. And everyone around you has their training wheels on. You're not gonna fall, and you're doing it in silence, and no one can really beat up on you about it. You have to take the training wheels off if you want to do something great. And in my case, taking the training wheels off was making one post on social media because I was so afraid of it. And he said, well, one other guarantee. When you take those training wheels off, you're gonna start wobbling. And a lot of people are gonna laugh at you because you start wobbling. But that wobbling shouldn't be associated with something negative. It should be associated with something called learning. And that was a paradigm shift for me. I started to associate cringe with learning instead of something that's negative. So my senior year, I posted my first video on social media, and he was right. I went to the bar that day after posting my first video on social media, and I'm not gonna lie, I was getting ripped. Rightfully so. They're not gonna let me show the first video because it was that bad. But this was my third video, and I think there's a beauty about wobbling in public, because what I did through my Instagram was I told everyone, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I think it's really interesting and I want people to watch. I'm a college, you see a lot of people on the internet, hey, I make this much money. I sold my company for this much. And I told everyone, hey, I go on Sundays for 16 hours and I buy shoes for $3 to $4. And then I bring them back and with my hands, I just clean them and sell them for like $30 to $40. It's not a lot of money, but I think it's fun. And it ended up making a good amount of money to me. And there's a beauty about being authentic in that way. And this right here is a screenshot of the third video I ever posted. And 500,000 people watched it. And that shocked me. I went back to Tuan and I was like, why? I don't know. I didn't even think it was that good. It was just me. It was a regular day. It was 200 shoes that I'd bought from that day. And I brought it up to my shoe office and I was just like, right here, I'm leaning, I'm saying, I think I can make $1,500 from these shoes and I bought them for 200. So drop in the comments what else you guys want me to see. It was a little 20-second, 30-second video. Super cringe. I would laugh at myself too, honestly. And he said, I think there's a shift on social media because although he's old, he's still on social media. There's a shift in social media and people love authenticity. And this is something you should keep doing. So I did. I posted 50 videos, I posted 100 videos, and all of a sudden, when you're riding that bike and you're wobbling, not only do you start riding the bike in a straight line, you start learning how to do tricks. And these tricks can actually garner some attention. On January 10th, 2025, my high school friend brought me a deal to develop 2.5 acres of land in Front Royal, Virginia. He told me to take all the money I'd made from shoes and dump it into that cabin back there. And I did it. And I did it with anything I knew how to do, and I just kept wobbling. And I kept documenting the journey start to finish. And what happened? Those tricks turned into a show that millions of people watched. I couldn't believe it. At one point, we had 100 million people in 1 month watch our cabin, and this was the final product. We had an Airbnb that was fully booked out. We had all the followers in the world. But honestly, all the growth and all the so-called success, I only remembered all the wobbling I was doing because I remember how embarrassing it was. And every time I posted a video, I couldn't help but think, what are my peers going to think of this? But this is when I think it truly all changed for me as well with this. I got a lot of positive comments on social media from strangers, from people I never knew. But I think the best thing that ever happened to me was that I started to see that people close to me started posting on social media. One of them's in the audience right here. His name's Owen. He started posting on social media, and that was one of the happiest things ever because 6 of my closest friends started posting on social media. And what that showed me was if someone sees you wobbling close to you in your life, it can inspire them to take that leap. So I think a lot of people in this audience right now look like this rock right here. They have an idea, they have something that they want to do, but they're held back not because they don't know how to do it, but they're scared about what other people are going to think. And I think that's been a theme in a lot of the talks that a lot of people have been doing today. But little do you guys know that this is a diamond and that is a diamond too. And I think the space between these two things are actually the cringe, but not the cringe. It's the learning that you need to do in between two of these phases. This rock needs to be cut down. It needs to be grinded. It needs some reps. It needs some wobbling. It needs some learning. And most of all, it needs some cringe. So I want everyone to figure out what taking the training wheels off means for them. For me, it was putting the phone on the tripod and just hitting record. For you, it might be getting on the treadmill and starting to run, opening the textbook up and starting to study, or even getting up on stage and starting to speak. I have a big fear of public speaking, and this is just something I wanted to do and start wobbling. Thank you guys so much.